chapter or subchapter, but here we are. Buddhism argues that your idea of who you are is an arbitrary mental construction and that you should let go of the idea that you exist at all. That the arbitrary metrics by which you define yourself actually trap you, and thus you're better off letting go of everything. In a sense, you could say that Buddhism encourages you to not give a fuck. It sounds wonky, but there are some psychological benefits to this approach to life. When we let go of the stories we tell about ourselves to ourselves, we free ourselves up to actually act and fail and grow. When someone admits to herself, maybe I'm not good at relationships, then she is suddenly free to act and end her bad marriage. She has no identity to protect by staying in a miserable, crappy marriage just to prove something to herself. Okay. When the student admits to himself, maybe I'm not a rebel, maybe I'm just scared. Then he's free to be ambitious again. He has no reason to feel threatened by pursuing his academic dreams and maybe failing. When the insurance adjuster admits to himself, maybe there's nothing unique or special about my dreams or my job, then he's free to give the screenplay an honest go and see what happens. I have both some good news and some bad news for you. There is little that is unique or special about your problems. That's why letting go is so liberating. There's a kind of self absorption that comes with fear based on an irrational certainty. When you assume that your plane is the one that's going to crash, or that your project idea is the stupid one everyone is going to laugh at, or that you're the one everyone is going to choose to mock or ignore, you're implicitly telling yourself, I'm the exception, I'm unlike everybody else, I'm different and special. This is narcissism, pure and simple. You feel as though your problems deserve to be treated differently, that your problems have some unique math to them that doesn't obey the laws of the physical universe. My recommendation: don't be special, don't be unique. Redefine your metrics in mundane and broad ways. Choose to measure yourself not as a rising star or an undiscovered genius. Choose to measure yourself not as some horrible victim or dismal failure. Instead, measure yourself by more mundane identities: a student, a partner, a friend, a creator. The narrower and rarer the identity you choose for yourself, the more everything will seem to threaten you. For that reason, define yourself in the simplest and most ordinary ways possible. This often means giving up some grandiose ideas about yourself, that you're uniquely intelligent, or spectacularly talented, or intimidatingly attractive, or especially victimized in ways other people could never imagine. This means giving up your sense of entitlement and your belief that you're somehow owed something by this world. This means giving up the supply of emotional highs that you've been sustaining yourself on for years. Like a junkie giving up the needle, you're going to go through withdrawal when you start giving these things up, but you'll come out the other side so much better. Okay, I don't know if I should comment on the subject. Okay, because I know a few things, I'll allow myself to comment on this. So, Buddhism. Yeah, in Buddhism, this actually there are two schools. Uh, there is a word in Sanskrit which is Atman, which could be translated as self. By the way, thank you to those two people who gave me likes. Others, I encourage you to follow those two guys and send likes my way. Okay, if you're watching this live, if you enjoy me reading this book for you, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, then also appreciate my time, my input, my energy, my skills, and send me likes and comments. So, Atman is the self. there is one school in Buddhism which says self is real. There is another school in Buddhism which says self isn't real, and that other school is Anatman. An is a negating suffix, prefix, non-self. Yeah, we could translate it that way, Anatman. So both worldviews are there. You know, one side, one school says self is real, the other school says self isn't real. Self is an illusion. Just as waves are not real, if you take away the essence, the water, waves aren't there. To be honest, I think that there is a sense of self, and it's important for our functioning. It is possible to also reprogram yourself and say, no, there is no sense of self. I tried living that way. Life is just a journey. Hey, Shay. Yeah, yeah. Life is just a journey, but it's up to you how to go through that journey. Or do you go through that journey, or you say, no, the journey is fake, it's a matrix, it's a hoax, you know? Even if it's just a journey, how do you treat that journey? What do you do about that journey? You know, those are important questions. Uh, yeah, I I lived that way for a while. I was inspired by some very altruistic ideas. For instance, I think I even heard that from Sadhguru, an interesting mystic. That person, he said that, you know, the sun shines for everyone, yeah, good and bad. So be like the sun. And that idea is also in the Bible. When Jesus says, love thy enemy, yeah, he says, it is said, hate thy enemy, love thy neighbor. And I say, love thy enemy. And then he goes on and says, you know, just like the rain falling on everyone, be like that. But what I discovered is when I was doing that, I was also enabling bad people, and I'll tell you how I was doing that after reading Shay's comment. Death may be our freedom, with so much pain and traumas being alive. Well, for some people, yeah, you could treat death as a form of liberation, but I'm pro, you know, pro euthanasia, you know, when the person wants to die and they have some serious illness or they are very old, they don't want to live anymore. Yeah, they have to have that option, you know. Yeah. Thank you to the third person who sent a like my way. Thank you so much. Others, I encourage you to send me likes too. And Shay continues, as sleeping and death are very close. Okay. He is still writing. Okay, right, Shay, I'll read all your comments. Okay. Uh, Actually, sleeping and death being close, it reminds me of two words in Sanskrit. Smriti is memory, and mriti is death. Memory and death being very close linguistically. Hi, Deija Stokes. Hi there. So, how was I empowering also bad people or bad actions? I had this, I knew this guy who was kind of smart, but who he wasn't sure of himself. He had low self esteem. He wanted to prove himself, you know, to everyone. And he suggested me to write an essay for him. He was participating in a competition, and he said, I'll pay you, just write that essay for me. And back then, I was, you know, an altruist, and I was like, oh, just like the sun, just like the rain, I gotta shine for everyone. You know, it's not my karma, it's his karma. You know, the universe will take care of everything, blah, blah. Hi, Jose. Hello. And I said, okay, I'll write that essay for you. And I didn't even bargain for the price. Whatever he said, I took it. I was like, oh, the universe is taking care of everything, blah, blah, blah. So I participated, and he won. He won with my essay. I participated in cheating. Yeah, and today's me would have refused, would have rejected that. I had a lady, an Armenian woman living in, I think, Glendale in Los Angeles, and she was like, I'm at a college now. I'm going through this English course. I have no time. I'll pay you X amount of money. Please just log in instead of me and go through all my tests. And I was like, no, I can teach you English. I can analyze your answers with you, but I won't do that, because it's against my values. It's unethical, yeah, based on my ethics and values. So when you do that, when you shine as the sun on everyone, hello, Edgar, hello, um, you also empower some wrong things. That's why I don't like socialism, communism, collectivism, group mentality, because it empowers also injustice. When you refuse that intellectual ability to discern between good and evil, bad and like wrong and right, you can enable evil and bad stuff too. So that's why I'm not a big fan of that Buddhist school that says self is an illusion, anatman is the way. And the last thing I'll share with you on this, actually there was a debate, in Hinduism also. Buddhism also arose in India. Yes, India is super cool. So in this era, in Europe, in Near East, we had Israel, and in Asia, we had India, that gave so many interesting theories and philosophies. Well, China as well, but yeah, India too. So once there was a big debate between two schools in India. One school representative was a guy, and a Hindu guy, who said that he believed that self existed. And his opponent was a representative of another Hindu school, uh, which said, no, self didn't exist. And the guy who believed in self said, if your self doesn't exist, then with whom am I debating? I am and you are not. Therefore, I win this debate because you don't even exist. How can you debate with me? That was a very interesting and original approach. If you deny yourself, you know, uh, where is your premise? Where do you start from? That cultural and religious nihilism, like nothing is certain, nothing exists, everything is a matrix, blah blah blah, is very destructive. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll continue, guys. And likes, okay, send me likes if you enjoy those lives. Next sub chapter: how to be a little less certain of yourself. Questioning ourselves and doubting our own thoughts and beliefs is one of the hardest skills to develop. But it can be done. Here are some questions that will help you breed a little more uncertainty in your life. Question 1: what if I'm wrong? A friend of mine recently got engaged to be married. The guy who proposed to her is pretty solid. He doesn't drink, he doesn't hit her or mistreat her. He's friendly and he has a good job. But since the engagement, my friend's brother has been admonishing her nonstop about her immature life choices, warning her that she's going to hurt herself with this guy, that she's making a mistake, that she's being irresponsible. And whenever my friend asks her brother, what is your problem? Why does this bother you so much? He acts as though there is no problem, that nothing about the engagement bothers him, that he's just trying to be helpful and look out for his little sister. What a stupid way. But it's clear that something does bother him. Perhaps it's his own insecurities about getting married. Perhaps it's a sibling rivalry thing. Perhaps it's jealousy. Perhaps he's just so caught up in his own victimhood that he doesn't know how to show happiness for others without trying to make them feel miserable first. As a general rule, we're all the world's worst observers of ourselves. When we're angry, jealous, or upset, we're oftentimes the last ones to figure it out. And the only way to figure it out is to put cracks in our armor of uncertainty by consistently questioning how wrong we might be about ourselves. Am I jealous? And if I am, then why? Am I angry? Is she right? And I'm just protecting my ego? Questions like these need to become a mental habit. In many cases, the simple act of asking ourselves such questions generates the humility and compassion needed to resolve a lot of issues. But it's important to note that just because you ask yourself if you have the wrong idea doesn't necessarily mean that you do. If your husband beats the crap out of you for burning the pot roast, and you ask yourself if you're wrong to believe he's mistreating you, well, sometimes you're right. The goal is merely to ask the question and entertain the thoughts at the moment, not to hate yourself. It's worth remembering that for any change to happen in your life, you must be wrong about something. If you're sitting there miserably day after day, then that means you're already wrong about something major in your life. And until you're able to question yourself to find it, nothing will change. Question 2. What would it mean if I were wrong? Many people are able to ask themselves if they're wrong, but few are able to go the extra step and admit what it would mean if they were wrong. That's because the potential meaning behind our wrongness is often painful. Not only does it call into question our values, but it forces us to consider what a different, contradictory value could potentially look and feel like. Aristotle wrote, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." Beautiful. I'll read it again. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Being able to look at and evaluate different values without necessarily adopting them is perhaps the central skill required in changing one's own life in a meaningful way. As for my friend's brother, his question to himself should be, what would it mean if I were wrong about my sister's wedding? Often the answer to such a question is pretty straightforward, and some form of I'm being a selfish, insecure, narcissistic asshole. If he is wrong and his sister's engagement is fine and healthy and happy, there's really no way to explain his own behavior other than through his own insecurities and fucked up values. He assumes that he knows what's best for his sister and that she can't make major life decisions for herself. He assumes that he has the right and responsibility to make decisions for her. He is certain that he's right and everyone else must be wrong. Even once uncovered, whether in my friend's brother or in ourselves, that sort of entitlement is hard to admit. It hurts. That's why few people ask the difficult questions. But probing questions are necessary in order to get at the core problems that are motivating his and our dickish behavior. Question number 3. Would being wrong create a better or a worse problem than my current problem for both myself and others? This is the litmus test for determining whether we've got some pretty solid values going on or we're totally neurotic fuckwards taking our fucks out on everyone, including ourselves. What an interesting word, litmus. Litmus. I have never seen this word, litmus. Okay, I need to check that out. The goal here is to look at which problem is better. Because after all, as Disappointment Panda said, life's problems are endless. My friend's brother, what are his options? A. Continue causing drama and friction within the family, complicating what should otherwise be a happy moment, and damage the trust and respect he has with his sister, all because he has a bunch, some might call it an intuition. He has a hunch, some might call it an intuition, that this guy is bad for her. B. Mistrust his own ability to determine what's right or wrong for his sister's life and remain humble. Trust her ability to make her own decisions, and even if he doesn't, live with the results out of his love and respect for her. Most people choose option A. That's because option A is the easier path. It requires little thought, no second guessing, and zero tolerance of decisions other people make that you don't like. It also creates the most misery for everyone involved. It's option B that sustains healthy and happy relationships built on trust and respect. It's option B that forces people to remain humble and admit ignorance. It's option B that allows people to grow beyond their insecurities and recognize situations where they're being impulsive or unfair or selfish. But option B is hard and painful, so most people don't choose it. My friend's brother, in protesting her engagement, entered into an imaginary battle with himself. Sure, he believes he was trying to protect his sister, but as we've seen, beliefs are arbitrary. Worst yet, they are often made up after the fact to justify whatever values and metrics we've chosen for ourselves. The truth is, he would rather fuck up his relationship with his sister than consider that he might be wrong, even though the latter could help him to grow out of the insecurities that made him wrong in the first place. I try to live with few rules, but one that I've adopted over the years is this. If it's down to me being screwed up or everybody else being screwed up, it is far, far, far more likely that I'm the one who screwed up. I have learned this from experience. I have been the asshole acting out because on my own insecurities and flaws. Oh, sorry. I have been the asshole acting out based on my own insecurities and flawed certainties more times than I can count. It's not pretty. That's not to say there aren't certain ways in which most people are screwed up. And that's not to say that there aren't times when you'll be more right than most other people. That's simply reality. If it feels like it's you versus the world, chances are it's really just you versus yourself. Okay, that was the end of the last sub chapter in chapter 6. Next chapter is chapter 7. Failure is the way forward. I heard this also in the world of entrepreneurship. Uh, Learn to fail fast. Yeah, that was a piece of advice given by, I think, a former Google CEO, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, just like, the toddler learning to walk, they fall thousands and thousands of times, yes, until they learn to walk upright. So failing is completely okay, and you shouldn't avoid it. The more avoiding failures is avoiding life. You know, it's like the little seed saying, "Oh, if I sprout, if I open up, something bad may happen. A cow may eat me. A human may stomp on me. A worm may hurt me, etc., etc." And imagine a seed that says, "If I open up, I may fail." Or a caterpillar which refuses to become a butterfly. That's misery. Yeah, that's misery. That would mean a life of unfulfilled potential. That would mean crippling yourself, you know, and that would be a very poor choice. You know, being afraid of failing is exactly that. I'll tell you, I came to the US just around 4 weeks ago, by the end of November. I tried advertising on Yelp and it failed. I spent $150 on advertisement on Yelp and it didn't work at all, you know. Still, I can't say that, oh, it was a bad choice. I shouldn't have done that. You know, if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't have known what my results could have been with them. Now I know that it doesn't work. Yeah. So yeah, I lost money, and actually, the first manager with whom I spoke, they told me we are giving you a bonus of $300. And the second manager, after a week, she called me and she said, "Oh, we see that you want to spend $450 with us." I was like, "No, I want to spend only $150 with you." And she said, "Oh, okay, I will fix it." And so that was dishonest with the first manager who set up my ad campaign in that bad way. Yeah. And then she was like, "Okay, you will spend $150 and $300 is a bonus on our end." But then one day I saw that $175 were taken away from my card, you know, from my debit card. And I called them. I said, "Stop this. I don't want to spend any more money with you, and I want my $25 back." They told me they would give that sum back to me within 7 working days. They haven't done it yet, and I think 7 days are already gone from that day, if I'm not mistaken. So very bad management, very dishonest, and that $300 um, bonus, I think it didn't even work. They just charged all the sum from my card, and I paid for the entire month of December. But they took that money from me on December 22nd. You know, the month wasn't even over yet. But still, I learned. You know, and yeah, it's a failure. Yeah, I lost real money, and I am very unhappy with that. You know, I could have advertised, somewhere else, but I gave it a try. And of course, I left a very. I told the truth. Yeah, I left a review. I gave them 1 star on Google Play because they suck. You know, but this is how we learn. Also through failure, also through bad experience. We learn that they lie, that, they are assholes, or their systems don't work. Yeah, and they fail on their own. Okay, I think I'll start with this one. Let's take only the first little part from this chapter. Okay. I really mean it when I say it. I was fortunate. I graduated college in 2007, just in time for the financial collapse and Great Recession. and attempted to enter the worst job market in more than 80 years. Around the same time, I found out that the person who was subletting one of the rooms in my apartment hadn't paid any rent for 3 months. When confronted about this, she cried and then disappeared, leaving my other roommate and me to cover everything. Wow. Goodbye, savings. I spent the next 6 months living on a friend's couch, stringing together odd jobs and trying to stay in as little debt as possible while looking for a real job. I say I was fortunate because I entered the adult world already a failure. I started out at rock bottom. That's basically everybody's biggest fear later on in life. When confronted with starting a new business or changing careers or quitting an awful job, and I got to experience it right out of the gates. Things could only get better. So, yeah, lucky. When you're sleeping on a smelly futon and have to count coins to figure out whether you can afford McDonald's this week and you sent out 20 resumes without hearing a single word back, then starting a blog and a stupid internet business doesn't sound like such a scary idea. If every project I started failed, if every post I wrote went unread, I'd only be back exactly where I started. So why not try? Failure itself is a relative concept. If my metric had been to become an anarcho communist revolutionary, then my complete failure to make any money between 2007 and 2008 would have been a raving success. But if, like most people, my metric had been to simply find the first serious job that could pay some bills right out of school, I was a dismal failure. I grew up in a wealthy family. Money was never a problem. On the contrary, I grew up in a wealthy family where money was more often used to avoid problems than solve them. I was again fortunate because this taught me at an early age that making money by itself was a lousy metric for myself. You could make plenty of money and be miserable, just as you could be broke and be pretty happy. Therefore, why use money as a means to measure my self worth? Instead, my value was something else. It was freedom, autonomy. The idea of being an entrepreneur had always appealed to me because I hated being told what to do and preferred to do things my way. Ooh, hits some chords with me. The idea of working on the internet appealed to me because I could do it from anywhere and work whenever I wanted. Yeah. I asked myself a simple question. Would I rather make decent money and work a job I hated, or play at internet entrepreneur and be broke for a while? The answer was immediate and clear for me, the latter. I then asked myself, if I try this thing and fail in a few years and have to go get a job anyway, will I have really lost anything? The answer was no. Instead of a broke and unemployed 22-year-old with no experience, I'd be a broke and unemployed 25-year-old with no experience. Who cares? With this value, to not pursue my own projects became the failure, not a lack of money, not sleeping on friends and family's couches, which I continued to do for most of the next 2 years, and not an empty resume. Mhm. The next subheading is called the failure slash success paradox. Paradox. Okay, we'll read that next time. Um, I actually worked at a non-profit many years ago, uh, around 12 or maybe 14 years ago, and my resolve uh, was that I will never do this again. Sitting in a small room with several people and going to the same place every morning, 5 days per week, was horrible. You know, I don't want to do that again. I'm 35. I haven't done that after my experience with that nonprofit, you know. So I'm happy with that. And yeah, and now as a tutor, as a coach, I find my students through my lives, through advertising myself online. So it's the internet, it's technology, and I use Zoom for my lessons. So I feel very blessed, not even blessed and lucky. It's not just that I did the same, I did the right thing and I achieved my results, I worked smart and I obtained the results that I wanted, you know. So now I'm also in the United States. So many people dream of this, obtaining that visa and coming here, So I'm pretty good. Yes, right now I have some new challenges, but just as the author says, life is about, choosing your problems. I chose these problems for myself, and I'm happy. Uh, I'm maybe blessed in some way. Um, I'm grateful to also myself for allowing myself to choose those problems for myself, So that's it for today. I remind you though that all the reading sessions of the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, are available on my channel. Subscribe to the channel, open the playlists tab, and there you'll have the playlist with the name of the book. You can enjoy all my previous reading sessions. When you subscribe, like the videos, uh, leave comments, because when you do that, you allow the algorithm of YouTube understand that this content is interesting for you. So next time I read the book again, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, you will have higher chances of seeing my live on your YouTube feed, news feed or whatever, if you comment and like more. The more you do it with a specific channel, the higher are the chances that the algorithm will decide to show the content of that channel to you in the future. Okay. Also, I invite you to become a paid subscriber on my YouTube channel. When you become it, I think it's just $3 per month. You'll get access to a course I created entitled Introduction to Practical Philosophy. Okay, it's on my YouTube channel for my paid subscribers. And I'm planning to make more exclusive content, which will be available only to the paid subscribers. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. So far, 3 people liked the live. 8 people are watching. Edgar, Jose, Diaya, Shay. Guys, thank you for your comments. I appreciate your time and your presence. So, high five and see you hopefully tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye bye.